Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and the Warlock Buffs we've been talking about for the past few weeks that are coming at some point, they're here. They came today on PTR. So today's video is looking at that. Buffs to Affliction, buffs to Demonology, and buffs to Destruction with a slight nerf to Destro, but we'll see where that goes. We'll look at it in this video here, and go from there. Bit of damage testing, talk about what I think this really means, and look at some of the other changes too for other classes. Like, some classes have been doing really well, but they also got nerfed today. Alrighty, so Blood Decay got nerfed. I'm not a huge tank person, but I heard now saying this is probably a pretty substantial nerf, and damage-wise, kind of looking super great anymore. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But the bigger outliers as far as damage is concerned. So Devourer got nerfed a little bit. Druid took a bit of a hit here too. From what someone said in my chat, I have no idea if it's accurate or not. Like a 3.5% nerf. Could be totally wrong. I have no idea. It doesn't seem like it's super impactful. I'm not like a Boomkin main or anything like Arson, but either way, they were doing very well. To a similar extent, Marks got hit with a 5% aura nerf and a large explosive shot nerf. And if I remember correctly, I think explosive shot was doing a large portion of the damage, a big part of like their big burst damage, roughly. So this is a 33% nerf, pretty big. We'll see where that lands. Probably still gonna be pretty good, but we'll see where that goes in the long run. Arcane somehow dodged nerfs in like AoE and things. I think this might even be a minor buff to it. I'm not really sure how this works exactly. Arcane Blast is single target based, and they mentioned they want to buff single target for Arcane, so there's that. Let me see. Shadow Priest got some nerfs too. It seems like it's more AoE based. Much sure what Tentacle Slam looks like in their profile for ST versus AoE and the Void Volley stuff, but either way, there's that. Rogue got aura buffs. This class is a mess. Shaman got some nerfs too, probably still pretty good, and the lock changes. So we are increasing the single target damage of each Warlock spec and reducing Destruction's cleave profile. We want Destro to shine in 2 target scenarios. However, we want to keep that edge at a reasonable amount. Haunt now increases the damage dealt to your target by 16%, was 12%. That's all Affliction got. Now, I don't think Affliction needed AoE buffs or anything. What Affliction really needs is a class tree or a spec tree overhaul. Is it going to get it this patch? Obviously not. I really hope for UA changes. This is like a similar, I guess, in a sense, kind of buff, but not really. So Haunt affects every single bit of your damage, whether it's Drain Soul, Shadow Bolt, Dots, if you melee the boss, Trinket damage. It is a flat damage increase. So you can basically say that this is like a 4% aura buff to your Haunt target. They're trying to increase single target. Buffing Haunt is like a fine way to do it, I guess, but really it needs to be UA. UA still doesn't do any damage, very little damage. It needs to do more. We're gonna have this still like, you do play Haunt in Plus, obviously, so it helps a bit like in M Plus single target, as well as like, you know, single target builds, but it still feels like it just needs more. We'll look at testing in a minute here too, and go from there, but there's that. Demonology. So Shadow Bolt damage increased by 45%, Demon Bolt increased by 55%, and then we have Summon Gloomhound damage increased by 35%. Now, Summon Gloomhound's an interesting one, because it does feel like for a while, like the separation between Gloomhound and Charhound has not really been a whole lot. Like, there is some in Sims if you sub it, but there wasn't a huge loss or disparity when you played like Charhound for AoE fights and you wanted like, you know, similar single target damage output. So Purple Dog should be a decent bit better than Fire Dog and single target now. Shadow Bolt, Demon Bolt buffs, typical Demo single target buffs. It could have buffed like imps and things too maybe, but it is what it is. This is a tooltip fix, no big deal. I think this might add value to Sack Souls as a talent for Demo. We'll see where it goes, talk about it in builds a bit here as well, and there's that. Finally, Destro. So Havoc now causes spells to deal 50% of their damage. The marked target was 60. If you go on PTR retail and it says 57, it's because you have the hero talent that buffs it. It's like Gluma Nathriza or something. Not that, it's something else that buffs Havoc by 7% if you're playing Diabolist. Keep that in mind. But its baseline 50 was 60. This affects both Havoc and Mayhem, because Mayhem applies Havoc. Soulfire got a very large increase today, 45%. This thing is probably finally like the tactical nuke they wanted it to be. It hits hard. Mine hit for 780 earlier, 780k. It's really hard. Chaos by 5%. I don't think, if this is a reaction to this, I don't think this is a large enough buff to like, you know, nerf by 10% modifier to Havoc. But I mean, we were blasting into target cleave. We still are. So there's that. So the buffs, like, I think Athletic, these probably could have gotten a little bit more. We'll look at damage, well, basically about now in game, but an important thing to keep in mind is that the classes that were actually like doing really well, they all got nerfed today. Now, it's probably not enough to bring them down to Warlock level, maybe some, maybe not others, but definitely like interesting Changes hitting today. All right, so we're gonna test all 3 specs here briefly in combat. I have like a notepad over here. I'll show you guys at the end of the video for like comparison damage did on stream today, but this should be pretty similar to that. Hellcaller single target. Once again, big things here. Soulfire buff by 45% and 5% Chaos Bolt. I'll try and mention when I cast Soulfire so you guys can take a look if they crit or not. I might forget, but we had a 760k Soulfire crit earlier. Pretty wild. So I'm going to open on a Soulfire here. It's not going to be fully buff. It's a precast, but that's fine. So here we go. Precast Soulfire going into an Infernal. That hit for 250k. No crittering, no buff. So Bolt, Conflict Rate, Bolt, Malevolence is popped, obviously. The big thing about Destro, even like in previous testing, is like it just sustains a good bit of damage, right? You'll like I wanted to do Destro first here so you guys can see like how it just gets to a certain threshold and just like sustains that amount of damage, right? You have Malevolence every minute, Infernal every minute and a half. You pop them on cooldown, they'll resync at the 3-minute mark, 0.36, so on and so forth. But the damage Destro just sustains is like higher than I would have expected when it comes to single target. Even in AoE, I played it the past few days on stream in Mythic Plus. I've been surprised at the amount of damage it just does in AoE as like Diabolus. This is Hellcaller, but Diabolus and M Plus does a lot of damage. Soulfire cast here, is it going to crit? I don't know. Launch it. No crit, but 262k. So that would have been like 520. That's without like potion, trinket, anything else either. So we can hit a good bit harder. We're going to pull a little bit around Malevolence here. Waiting for it to come off CD. I might overcap for a second, but whatever is what it is. Malevolence and begin casting bolts. Bolt, boom. We have Infernal in like 20-ish seconds here, but like look at the actual damage we're sustaining. It's like 170k, right? Roughly around here. Dropping off a bit because Malevolence is going to fall, but like it just sustains a good bit. Destro is pretty turrety. It's like just turrety, like a turret, not like a turd. Well, actually both, but you have to sort of stand still for a little while and wait for things to like, build up, or not build up, like movement sort of scuffs Destro tons of times, right? She cast that Soulfire later. Let's pop this. There's Infernal, Chaos Bolt. Let's pop this Soulfire now and see where we land. Soulfire launching, solid 66636. Oh my gosh, it's scary. There you go. I had a 720k hit earlier. That's without a potion right there. Probably would have been even higher if it had hit, right? But yeah, I mean, like, the damage you sustain is just solid, And once you get to that 20% threshold, Shadowburn Execute kicks in. You spam Shadowburn all the time. It's permanent Echo Sargeras procs. The damage really amps up even more there, right? Malevolence off CD. Hit it again. Here we go. Building shards for it. Boom, boom. Like, what I've seen is about this number. I sustain around like 155-ish K, a bit more Malevolence procs. Sometimes you get RNG procs of it. It just rolls for a long time. I had a half-minute Malevolence earlier. It just procced through like the Felvine row multiple times. Pretty crazy. Chaos Bolt launches Soulfire here. See what it hits for. Soulfire. A quick little 638. That's without a trinket or... I mean, a trinket or a potion. So it actually hits pretty hard. But we can more or less like stop here. This damage is about what we've seen out of like Destro on stream testing today as well. And yeah, about 153. I think the average we had was like 156. It'll spike a couple thousand DPS roughly in like single target when you execute. But yeah, breakdown wise, Chaos Bolt, Incinerate, Wither, Conflagrate, Soulfire here. I wish I had a good meter here to see how hard it hit and stuff, but CBA, I guess. Sargeras, Shadowburn, all that. So yeah, I mean, that's Destro. Keep in mind 155 roughly, give or take. All right, so we're moving on to Affliction here. Now, Affliction is interesting. The buff it got today was a 4% additional damage increase to your haunt target. So like, this will say 20 due to like haunt modifiers, like basically being, well, this thing, Shadow Netheresa and your Apex and stuff. Basically, if you have your Apex talent, it went from 16 to 20. If it's like baseline haunt with nothing else, it's 12 to 16, but it got a 4% increase, however you want to look at it, to all damage dealt to your haunt target. Haunt effects, dots, drain soul, trinket procs. If you melee it, it increases that too. Haunt is basically an aura buff to whatever target it's on. So there's that. Now, we're gonna look at this build here, Soul Harvester, Malefic Grass stuff. There's a bit of variance in these builds. I've seen some playing Feast of Souls, seen some playing Eye Contract over things. We'll see where Sims land. Obviously, they're getting work done now, but see where it goes. So now I do low-key think they probably should have buffed UA today again. I don't know why we don't want to buff UA, but honestly, we're at a point where it just sort of is what it is. The patch is coming. This is probably the last tuning pass until the patch is probably out, if not even like into the patch a bit. And at this point, just, I don't know. You just got to roll with it, man. What can you really do? So we're going to drain here. Drain again. Trying to maintain my 3 stack here. I want to roll another UA. Drain. One more drain. There we go. Or grasp, however you want to word it. Actually, a good bit of burst here, around 220, 230, which is pretty solid. We're going to try and like maintain this 3-stack of UA for like max tier set benefit as much as we can here. So I might like pool for a little bit if I can before just rolling a shard naturally here. Like I'm pooling a little bit as an instability proc. I'll roll that. Roll this, which in a shard about now, and there's back to 3-stack, right? So I'm trying not to like overspend if I can. Try and like maintain max or a buff from your tier set, which is 6%, right? So we're going to roll that. We'll drain, roll another UA. There's a lot of RNG in this. I will say this is probably the best RNG I've had in like shard instability and shard gen as AF for a while. This is a good pull. Now keep in mind, Destro was sitting around like 153, 155 in that test we just did a minute or two ago. And Affliction, my main thing with Affliction is like, it feels like being a dot-based class. I mean, I've talked about it a bunch, but like UA doesn't hit very hard. It feels like our sustain is just like not as good as it should be. Even when it comes to like having these Dark Harvest windows, like we can sustain a bit, but then we just sort of fall off outside of them. And like Dark Glare being a 2-minute cooldown makes things feel even more awkward. Just like, I mean, Infernal is a minute and a half now. Tyrant's a minute. And I feel like outside of your harvest windows, your damage just feels really lackluster. And even in your harvest windows, it just feels like we could be doing more here. Like, we should be doing more. Why aren't we doing more? I think the answer is because UA is just not very good. But it is what it is. So we'll keep an eye on it a bit. This is actually a pretty good pull as far as, like, resource gen. I think it's concerned. A lot of Dreadlords proccing here. But still, we're at 140k. So about 10k behind where Destruction is, right? Even with this really good RNG coming in. So we're going to wait a second or two here for this couple more UAs to come in, like a shard or two. That's actually good enough. We can go. UA. One more for the road. Sure, we'll Dark Glare, Trinket. We'll Harvest here. We're going to dump a couple of these and begin draining. One drain. Maintain 3-stack for your grass windows here as long as you can. Dump a few more. We're not playing Eye Contract here, so we don't have longer Dark Glare. Keep that in mind. So 3-stack there. Drain. Full Nightfall drain. UA. Drain. Drain this. And one final Grasp recast right there. Perfect. Max final drain. So about 148 coming out of cooldowns. Now, Destro was going into Infernal in about 20-ish seconds here and was sitting at about 154k. So I do think that Affliction is about 10k less than what it looks like for, you know, compared to Destruction and single target. Obviously, there's a bit of, you know, give and take to that, different damage profiles, all that. But if you're looking at pure single target, I think Destro is a little bit better. Now, are you going to play Destro every fight this raid tier? Probably not, no. You're probably going to play mostly Destro and a little bit of AF if, you know, things stay the way they are. But is AF going to be like the, you know, top dog spec? Doesn't really look like it. We were this close. We were this close to having an Affliction tier. The first tier in years since Castle Nathria, but unfortunately Blizz wouldn't buff UA. Or buff us enough to give us good single target, so I won't tell you. You can call it about 143k, roughly give or take around a similar timestamp. Unfortunately, that's that. Maybe they'll buff us week 2 of the raid and be better. All right, and lastly, we have Demonology here. Demonology is a interesting one because it got buffed. I think it was Shadow Bolt 55, Demon Bolt 45, and Gloomhound 35%. Big buffs to those. I think there could be a world we end up playing Sack Souls as Demonology. Not really sure. Current sims have Soul Harvester simming higher than Diabolist. In actuality, I haven't had that. Others have also had that. Not being the case, they have a Diabolist being higher. Something's bugged or sims aren't optimized yet. I mean, I know they're not, obviously. They're still working on them. So I'm playing Diabolist here. Play whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. The initial builds of like what looks to be best have it like this, like for pure single target, which makes sense. I mean, Siphon over at Core or Implosion. I think they have a point here in Spiteful as well. I don't remember exactly, but we're playing this. We're playing the Implosion build because basically this build is typically pretty similar to whatever else you're playing in single target, like Siphon stuff. And also there's a lot of cleave this raid here. There's one single target fight, Mr. Sizorak the Snake. If you play Demo there, you're probably cursed of the way. So there's that. Cursed, like the raid is cursed. Anyways, yeah, so open up here. There is a good bit of variance in Demo's opener. A lot of it's like basically you get a core off your implosion and stuff, but I haven't gotten a core on my opener in the last 10 years, so we'll see what happens here. There's a miracle in August. Let's see. Christmas miracle in August. Let's find out. Tyrant, Trinket, Potion, 2 hands. Let's implode. No miracles in August. I did have Pit Lord queued up there. It's from my previous testing. I had to re-record this segment. It doesn't really matter. It's fine. It'll all even out. No big deal. So like I've seen the burst for Demo being somewhere around like on the higher end, like 230k ish. Bit of variance there once again based on a pet you spawn in, what ritual you're cycling through and all that. And this is about a pretty similar opener to what I've seen before as well. So we'll keep just going with this. We're gonna keep imploding more or less on cooldown and just go for a few minutes. Now Demonology, Honestly, the damage it puts out outside of your Apex, it does feel relatively consistent. I mean, Tyrant being a minute, Apex being a minute, Dogs every 20, Imploding every, 15, 20-ish, right? I mean, it does feel relatively consistent. Affliction, like I said, with Dark Harvest being about a 42-second CD now, I think, with like the reduced CDR and changes, and Dark Lair being 2 minutes, it feels a bit like lower and higher, if that makes sense. I'm gonna just cast Shadow Ball here, whatever Tyrant's up now. But like Demo does feel relatively consistent, right? So we're Tyranting here, we're at 144k, gonna implode, get no cores. Once again, there we go, lovely. We're gonna keep ramping here and see where we land at coming out of this. So there's Pit Lord, we can hand. Launch that. So we're coming out about 100, I'm gonna guess about 154k roughly. Yeah, right around here. One more pet in, love a core, but cores don't exist in my world, it's okay, don't worry about it. I'm not gonna implode, I got one hand on the keyboard. And yeah, I don't know, 154k coming out of that, right? But there's still a decent bit of that being, like our burst initially was to 240k, right? Next Tyrant is coming up in about half a minute. I've seen Demonology, I feel like on average, like a little bit ahead of Affliction, but at times, like I've seen Affliction just be a slightly ahead of Demo. I think they're both pretty close, but neither are exceptionally good in single target. Let's put it that way. So it's a little awkward. We have Tyrant in 7. We're going to cast from my hand here, build back to Dogs. Launch a little Imp here, cast some Dogs, and we're going to Tyrant. So we're at about 136k going into this, right? Trinket hand. This is big Tyrant with Trinket, Grimoire, Implord, all that. We're going to do this. Implode, still no core. I swear cores are bugged. I swear I bugged this patch. We'll see. But right around that 250 timestamps, about when we stopped for Destruction and Affliction as well. And it's going to be right around here too. So about 150k, there's a big Ruination, one more pet coming in here. And there's that. So about 150k, give or take. AF was what, like 145k, but Demo will drop a bit here too if we go a bit longer. It'll be probably like 142k, I'd assume, going in the next Tyrant, right? So it's hard to say. Like, we did a lot of tests as Demonology and Affliction earlier, like on stream and things. I mean, I do think, I'm gonna stop right here. Like, I do think that as far as like single target's concerned, it is currently, show the breakdown here. It is currently Destruction, then Demonology, Affliction, or Affliction, Demonology. I think it's pretty close. There's a lot of variance here too. It's a margin of error and things as well, and it's like, okay. Both are probably pretty close, but I think Destruction is about 10k ahead. And looking at the numbers we had earlier as well, testing different builds here, Soul Harvester and stuff for Demo, right? I excluded this from the average. I just looked at it and made an average in my head. It's probably around 156k for Destruction, 146-ish for Demo, and probably about 144 for AF. But once again, like, this is such a little margin, or a little bit of variance here. Like, RNG can throw this off, right? Like, the Destra's ahead when it comes to like single target. That can be the case in, 2 weeks when the raid goes live, or I guess 2.5 weeks. I doubt you're going to see much more tuning at this point. It's probably going to be, okay, week 1 is done. What is doing bad? Buff it. So Demo and AF get buffs again on the 24th, probably. Whenever week 25th, probably. I do think this raid 2 looks pretty good as far as like Destra's profile is concerned. And the raid, like if you're looking at the current raid fights right now, this fight probably it could be AF. It's the first boss. It's a weird one. Could be AF. Like Seed Cleave and all that UA final tier set. Destro. This is a weird one too. It could be anything. It could even be Demonology. I don't really know, but whatever. But probably AF, Destro. Who knows? It doesn't really matter. Currently Destro, and probably currently Destro, but who knows? A lot of ads in this fight too. So, we'll see where it goes. But I think with the other classes getting nerfed today and Warlock getting buffed, we're definitely in a better spot. Now, as far as like a tier list and rankings and things go, I'd like to make a video on that later on this week. I guess next week, whatever, but I need to see where things are at and feel out more PTR stuff, so there's that. So, thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you all again soon, and yeah, cheers.